Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, c'est lundi, le 13 septembre, beginning of a new week. So let's take a look at this week's checklist. Remember, anything that is in red will be graded. Anything that's in pink, which is basically just going to be your quick write, but possibly things in the future. So that will be graded later, but you have to keep up with it. And then anything in black, I expect you to do, but it's not going to be graded per se. Having that practice, of course, will help you on things that will be graded later on, so it's a good idea just to do it all. Okay, alors, le mot de passe cette semaine, c'est de rien. De rien. De rien. De rien is the typical response to merci. Merci, de rien. Merci, de rien. And should be put in your mot de passe section of your cahier numéro 4. Aujourd'hui dans l'histoire. Aujourd'hui, c'est lundi, le 13 septembre. Et un symbole de la France, c'est la Tour Eiffel. Today, that we don't have an actual this day in history per se. Instead, we're just going to learn a few fun facts about what many people associate with France before they've ever studied anything about it. And that is la Tour Eiffel. Elle était construite par Gustave Eiffel pour l'exposition universelle en 1889. Construite. It was constructed par Gustave Eiffel. And that's not absolutely an accurate statement. Gustave Eiffel was the designer of La Tour Eiffel. Obviously, his name is used for the tower to this day. But of course, he didn't actually construct it. There were many, many workers who did that. Pour l'exposition universelle. If you've ever heard of the World's Fair, it's something that I don't think it actually exists anymore. I could be wrong about that, but in the past, especially in the 50s and 60s, it was a really big deal because you didn't have as many media outlets and people wanted to see what the cool new inventions were. And this was an opportunity for many of the countries in the developed world to come together in one place in those countries, within those countries, and show off what they had built or invented, etc. So it was a big, big deal. Back in 1889, 1889, the World's Fair, l'Exposition Universelle, was held in Paris. And that was the debut of La Tour Eiffel, which was not meant to be there permanently. It was meant to be there for just a few years to celebrate the World's Fair. Obviously, they decided to go ahead and keep it when it became such a popular monument, popular icon, really, within the whole world. 1889, this is a significant date because it is the centennial, the 100th anniversary of La Révolution Française, the French Revolution, which began in 1789, 1789. So, okay, il y a 1665 escaliers. An escalier is a step. So there are actually steps that go from the bottom to this level here. If you want to go all the way to the top, you have to take an elevator. There are, of course, elevators that go from here to here as well, but at least between the bottom and this level, you have the option of les escaliers ou l'ascenseur, the elevator. En 1889, les Parisiens détestent la tour parce qu'elle était moche. Moche, c'est ugly. Ugly. You détester, probably could figure that word out. It's a cognate. You saw me doing this as well. They hated it. They didn't like it. La tour parce que, because elle était moche. It was ugly. Et maintenant, now, c'est le monument le plus visité du monde. The most visited monument in the world. Okay. This is video that you can watch. It's in English. It just is a quick little video about La Tour Eiffel and its history. It's pretty interesting. Discussion. What did the Parisians think of the Eiffel Tower when it was first built? I just explained that, so if you're watching this video, you should be in good shape. And what do you personally think of the Eiffel Tower? And when you get to the actual discussion in Schoology, which is linked up here for high school, middle school, I've given you also sentences you can use in French. Elle est belle, it's beautiful. Elle est moche, it's ugly. Okay, there is not a great word for overrated in English, so in French, so I wasn't able to really give you a translation of that, unfortunately. Okay, aujourd'hui, if you have not yet done this, I want you to make sure you sign up for your Schoology class by using, sign up for your Quizlet class by using the blue button in Schoology. Looks like this, Quizlet Vocab Review. Once you have clicked on there, that will bring you to the place where you sign up for our class and become enrolled in our class, and then you'll have access to all of these different sets that are linked to what we've studied so far. La chanson de la semaine, we're keeping the same one, les mois de l'année. Janvier, février, mars. So listen to it a couple times this week. If you listened to it every single day last week, you don't need to go quite as hard this week, but see if you can sing along. See if you can talk along if you don't like to sing, but we need to know those months. Another repeat from last week, TPR, les gestes, gestures, are the same as before. There will be new ones starting tomorrow, so be ready for that. Et c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. That is it for today. Remember, you had a checklist like this last week as well. So if you have not completed everything on there that is in red, make sure you have, or you'll see some zeros in the grade book. Also, make sure you're looking at Power School in the grade book as opposed to Schoology. You shouldn't see any grades in Schoology. Okay, bon, au revoir tout le monde.